manage stakeholder engagement, a process about working with stakeholders. It's like working with them and engaging them to achieve project goals. Let's look at who are these stakeholders. So we have a project team, and outside this team we have many stakeholders. And working with these stakeholders on a day-to-day basis is all about manage stakeholder engagement. What kind of management we can expect here? For example, a stakeholder calling to a project manager and asking what happened to my change request. Why it is rejected? Or why are you not involving me in design? Or why don't you let me lead a design workshop? I want to lead a design workshop. So dealing with these situations, reacting to them, managing them in order to achieve the project goal is all about managing stakeholders. We don't expect that while performing this process, we will make everybody happy. The goal is not to make these stakeholders happy, but the goal is to engage them to achieve project goal. We need to have a mechanism where we can divert. We need to have a skill as a project manager so we can divert them and make them focus towards project goal. So what kind of skills are that? We need to apply interpersonal skill. Like listening. At least he's making you a phone call. You need to give a complete hearing, active listening, and explain the reason behind the rejection of change request. Explain the impact of that change, and that is why the change control board has taken decision in another direction. We need to build trust. This guy should not feel that this project manager is always rejecting whatever I say. He should feel that this project manager always put his case forward to the change management group, change control board, and change control board analyze the change on the basis of constraints which they have, and on that basis they decide. If this guy understands this logic, you are building trust. If you are just telling them that I don't know, change control board has rejected it, I can't do much, so there is no trust. He may feel that either you have not forwarded his request or change control board has some bias against this guy. This guy may want to lead the workshop, but that may not be expected from him. You may not want him to lead the design workshop because of various reasons. So again, you need to build that trust that this role has been done or expected to be done by someone else, and you cannot do this work. You need to put management skills. What kind of management skills? Negotiations, facilitation, influence, because these all are soft issues. You are dealing with the stakeholders, managing their engagement, and also looking as a project goal as an ultimate objective. Third tool and technique which you can use in this process is communication method. Now, communication method you can apply like push, pull, which method suits the best in order to achieve the stakeholder engagement. Now, in order to achieve the stakeholder engagement, you need some inputs. First, you need to know stakeholder management plan. So, first input for this process is stakeholder management plan. The second input could be communication management plan, because managing stakeholder cannot happen without effective communication. So stakeholder management goes hand in hand with communication management. So you need to look at communications management plan. You also need to look at change log. You need to know what all things has been accepted or rejected and what were the rationale behind it. So you need to look at change log and also the organization process assets, because that will help you guide in sailing through this particular process. Now, what can we expect as an output from this process? This process can give us change request. It can also give us issue log. The issues which we cannot resolve via working with stakeholders need to be tracked for closure. So first thing which can come from this process is change request. Since you are talking to stakeholders, since you are engaging with them, you are talking about how to meet their interest along with the project objective, you may end up identifying some of the change requests. They could be preventive or corrective in nature. So you need to log the change request as an output of this process. The issue log, while working with the people, they are raising some issue that why don't you involve me in a design? You explain that you cannot be involved because our stakeholder management plan is not expecting you to get involved as a design consultant. This is what is not expected from you. Our communication matrix is also not saying that we need to communicate that information to you. Now he may raise an issue to it. Look, your plan again, and I have an issue with your this particular plan. So this becomes an issue. If you cannot resolve them via applying interpersonal management and communication methods during the execution of managed stakeholder engagement, it becomes issue log. And you need to update few things. What all you need to update? You need to update project management plan, project documents, and stakeholder register is also one of the document. So project documents like stakeholder register may get updated, and you may also need to update organization process assets, because while doing all this, you may discover some of the good practices which can help the other teams as well. It's a type of process which goes hand in hand with communication management. It is a type of process where you apply good amount of conflict resolution skills with the stakeholders. You also remember the influence of a stakeholder changes with time. So you need to involve with the stakeholder as per your project life cycle. It is generally believed that stakeholder influences on a deliverable outcome reduces with time. Because initially, when things are not yet developed, they can change the direction and the impact could be very high. But as things get baseline, so requirement get baseline, design get baseline, as things becomes baseline, their influence starts getting reduced. This also depends upon the type of life cycle you are using. This particular statement would be very true for predictive life cycle, but if you are applying an adaptive life cycle, the stakeholder influence may not get that much reduced along with the time. It may remain a simple line or with a less slope. So in summary, a managed stakeholder engagement is all about keeping the stakeholders with you so that they can look at project objective and support the goal of project.